get full access to RFR only on Patreon. Become a member of the RFR Patreon community to get more Rebel Force Radio. Bonus shows and content are available right now only at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio.
Penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times. Star Wars #1.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Well, if we're going to take a little time off next week, we might as well go out with a bang. Go out with a bang and bring you the long-awaited commentary, Rebel Force Radio style, of course, of Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 16. We're talking about The Rescue. That's right, the return of Luke maybe the rescue of the legacy of Luke Skywalker. Some might say. But that's right, we're going to have a little watch-along, or as what Disney Plus calls it, group watch, of this incredible episode. In fact, it's so incredible that we didn't want to do it with other episodes. We wanted to dedicate one single episode of the Rebel Force Radio Mandalorian commentary series to this particular episode, which is the finale and perhaps the last that we're going to see of the Mandalorian for some time. I don't believe that the cameras have actually even started rolling on season 3. We know that there is going to be a season 3. Pedro Pascal has talked about it, and of course, common sense would lead you to believe that there will be a season 3. But we got to wait through Book of Boba Fett before that. But anyway, lots of time to discuss that. But yes, we're here to watch Mandalorian Chapter 16, The Rescue, the finale of Season 2. And by we, I mean myself, Jason, and my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. We're back for our final audio commentary for The Mandalorian Season 2. And yeah, this episode has to stand on its own. Luke's back, baby. Luke Skywalker returns. And this was definitely the episode and moment of The Mandalorian that we've been waiting for, but we didn't even realize the impact it would have. We knew that it would have to get to the point where, spoiler alert, come on, everyone's seen the season finale.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Oh, a mere technicality. Everyone's seen this episode. I was just funning you. But we knew we'd get to the point where Din and Grogu would have to be separated. And he would have to go off on... it had been foreshadowed since Chapter 13, the Jedi, when Ahsoka told the Mando what had to go down. Find the rock, put him on the rock, and a Jedi will come. What Jedi? Which Jedi? Do you remember all the speculation, Jason?
Oh, I do. And you know what I just learned? I was doing a little research on this episode, and I don't think we covered this on Rebel Force Radio. But apparently Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan in the series, said in an interview that she was told that there would be a Jedi in the finale that would show up, and that it would be Plo Koon.
Well, now, I wonder who told her that.
Right.
I can tell you who it's going to be. It's going to be the best Jedi in the world. Plo Koon is the greatest.
And Katie Sackhoff is like, oh, sounds great. Plo Koon, that sounds like a Star Wars name.
Wow. But impossible, because we saw Plo Koon get shot down in Order 66. So we know.
Well, Katie is not really all that into it,
He would say something like, there was an ejector seat.
Yes, of course. Of course. But yeah, there was lots of speculation. We talked about Mace Windu. I thought I just didn't think they were going to go there with Luke. I really didn't. It made sense. It made the most sense in terms of the context of the story when it takes place. But, there was Ahsoka Tano. We had just seen her. So
ruled her out. I mean, she obviously couldn't have been part of the equation. Cal Kestis from the Jedi Fallen Order series was mentioned. I just didn't see that tying in with, a relatively new video game character. As awesome as Cal is, which he's totally awesome, but it just, video games is his domain. Who would have had a bigger impact than Luke Skywalker? No one.
It was a ballsy move. And not ballsy in the sense that people weren't going to love it. It's one thing to take a risk on a character, like Ahsoka Tano and say, we're going to create this character and put her out there. That was risky in one sense.
Yeah.
Putting Luke out there is not risky in the sense that people are going to be excited, but it's risky in the sense that you're contributing to the canon of Luke Skywalker, particularly in light of the fact that the last time it had been done, it split the fan base. I mean, let's face it. It split the fan base.
Right. So to go back and bring us to Luke Skywalker in his prime, just post Return of the Jedi, that's what we always wanted to see. That was the continuation we always wanted.
Speaking of which, this occurred to me. I was driving around today and just thinking about doing the show tonight and what I wanted to say. And this thought occurred to me because I was thinking about, the CGI that was used and, the fact that it was an actor, this actor, Max Lloyd Jones, who was actually the body, did the stunt work and was the physical on set presence of Luke Skywalker, and then Mark's face was done by the same special effects company that did the Polar Express and that Jim Carrey Scrooge movie from a few years ago. But I was thinking about it, and I started thinking about the way Luke looks in The Last Jedi. And both versions, you got old man curmudgeon Luke, which was so far out. We saw it at the end of Force Awakens, and all of the footage that we would see of Mark Hamill during the filming of those movies, he looked phenomenal. He was in such good shape. The hair was great, and the beard was perfectly manicured. And it's like, wow, this looks like Luke's, Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. And when the opportunity came to show Luke, and this is what tipped me off when you just said, seeing Luke in his prime, when the opportunity came to show Luke in his prime, or as he would have last appeared to Kylo Ren, it looked very far removed from the way Mark Hamill actually looked. Like I feel like that look was so overdone. It was too, too over-engineered or something. Just put Mark Hamill the way he looks in the Jedi robes. He would have been great. I still don't get that weird dark and lovely thing. He's never had hair that dark or a beard that dark. It's just bizarre. And you juxtapose that with this. Now, granted, I know that this takes place just a few years after Jedi, but still, it's like there was more Luke Skywalker, and we'll get to it when we see the scenes, but there was more Luke Skywalker in this CGI manufactured amalgam of another actor and Mark Hamill's face and voice than there was in The Last Jedi, in my judgment. I'm not even, this is beyond whether you care about the plot or the story of Luke or anything. It's just the way the character looked. It was a weird choice.
In The Last Jedi.
In The Last Jedi, yes, in The Last Jedi.
Because a lot has been said about the CGI Luke that we see, the de-aged Luke that we see in The Mandalorian.
Yep.
But I've always maintained that the reason why people feel that way is just because the brain cannot comprehend the fact that Luke Skywalker has been de-aged 30 years, and there he is right in front of us in brand new footage. It's like, we know it's impossible. So naturally, we're not going to look at it without that filter. We're going to know right away this is a trick. And so the brain isn't going to register. We're going to look at all the imperfections
I gotta push back a little bit on that, though, and this is where I think some of the critics have some merit, which is you can't deny that some of the quote unquote fan-made versions of this, fan-made versions of Tarkin using deep face technology, fan-made versions of scenes from Rogue One with Tarkin, also with Leia, are kind of better. What I am curious when you have that deep fake technology, and I'm not an expert. All I know is what I see on the YouTube, and I see the fan-made stuff looking superior to what was coming out of this particular effects company and Disney / Lucasfilm in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Early indications tell us that Harrison Ford is going to be de-aged for some sequences in the new Indiana Jones film. How far along has that technology come in the last year and a half since, The Mandalorian, that was only made half a year ago.
Oh, man, I think
that was only released half a year ago. So
yeah.
You'd have to assume the technology just keeps getting better and better.
Yep.
And
for sure.
They're at a point where they're confident enough to take Harrison out there and put the dots on his face and let whatever happens happen.
By the way, let's wish Harrison Ford a speedy recovery. It sounds like that shoulder injury that he sustained on the set of the new Indy movie is indeed going to shut the film down for 5 or 6 weeks. They think they can still hit release date, but so Harrison Ford injured his shoulder doing look, the guy's almost 80 years old. He's 78, I think. And, like I said, I wish I looked that good. But when you take these actors he's older than Sean Connery was when he played Henry Jones. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think the age gap between Connery and Harrison Ford was less than a decade. So it wasn't a huge leap. He was definitely not, technically, the actor was not old enough to be Harrison's actual father. But nonetheless, history repeating itself. We know that famously when Force Awakens was before cameras, there was an injury from, on Harrison Ford with his leg. Yeah. And here he is making a new Indy and the same thing. So, but this time
don't forget
it's the
that
shoulder.
Crash landing in Santa Monica, too. He's taken a beating over the last several years, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
So they're shutting it down for 5 to 6 weeks. Yeah. And so they're not going to, trade for like a Chris Pratt or anything to come in and save the day.
No,
of course not.
Boy, I love the idea of a Chris Pratt Indiana Jones. He's just so likable. I've said on the show before, my daughter and I were watching all the Marvel films, and when those were first coming out, we were having kids and it was hard to get to the theater and they weren't the right age and all that. And so my daughter and I are watching all of them. And so far, Guardians of the Galaxy is the household favorite, and Chris Pratt is a favorite. And when I was watching it, I was, I'd seen him in things like Parks and Rec, and but seeing him in that, I was like, wow, I could see him as a young Indiana Jones. I really could. Younger, yep. I guess, could you even call it a young Indiana Jones? He's probably the same age or close to as Harrison Ford was in Raiders.
Well, there you go.
Maybe a little younger.
Yeah. No, he's probably older than Harrison was. But we'll see where this de-aging technology takes us, and we'll be keeping that stuff in mind as we watch the end of this episode. Before we started off, though, I mean, where does this leave for Luke Skywalker in the future, though? Do you think that with advancements in this technology, we could potentially see a Star Wars film or series that has a heavy focus on a post-Jedi Luke? I would certainly like to see it.
Yeah, I hate to deflect here, but it was our buddy Paul Bateman who kept the faith and really believed when no one else did that there would be an episode 7, 8, and 9. And Paul has maintained, after seeing, you were mentioning, Jim, earlier about video game technology and video game characters, he has maintained that the technology, the CG technology that goes into these video games is getting so good that you could do a complete cinematic film with original trilogy era characters and actors and all of that, just the whole thing CG. He thinks that the time could come, and that would be the perfect opportunity to do maybe some, some filler stories in between the original trilogy films. I think that it's likely. I think that we could see some sort of Luke Skywalker driven series. I think that it's just too. I don't know what the word is.
Inevitable.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable, yes, because I really believe that Favreau and Filoni, knowing the types, I don't know personally, but knowing the types of fans that I believe they are, whether they love the sequels or they don't, I think that they are the types of fans that would like to see the legacy of Luke Skywalker, particularly after the reaction to this episode, restored, redeemed in some way. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is just to tell more stories. Right. Because what have we seen of Luke? We saw his hero's journey. It ended with Return of the Jedi. And then we saw the very end of Luke. So it's a little bit like, when you think about it, kind of like the Clone Wars. We saw the beginning of the Clone Wars, cinematically speaking. We saw the beginning of the Clone Wars and the end of the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. But it was the Clone Wars series that really redeemed Anakin in a lot of people's eyes with the work of, the great Matt Lanter. And all those stories that then completely change the way that you watch episodes 2 and 3 of the prequels. So could there be a way to tell stories of Luke Skywalker that take place in between Return of the Jedi and, The Force Awakens that makes perhaps the sequel trilogy a little bit, more palatable for people that have a problem with, not saying everybody does, but for the people that have a problem with Luke's character? I think it's absolutely possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And likely.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see it. And if we do, I hope they include Mark Hamill in on the production and actually listen to him when he weighs in with certain aspects of the character that he and George Lucas developed 40-something years ago.
If these creatives let Anthony Daniels rewrite 3PO dialogue every time he's got a few lines to say, why not listen to Mark Hamill for once? What, like Mark doesn't have any idea, but suddenly Anthony Daniels is the the end all be all of I don't know.
Hey,
it's just funny.
That is something that's important, though. You bring up Anthony Daniels, you make me think of the droids, and I'm just so happy to see that at least one of the pair gets recognized here in The Mandalorian,
That's right.
So
I was going to ask you, you're such a fan of R2, and who are you more excited to see in this episode, Luke or R2? It's got to be a toss-up, I would think.
I'd have to say it was Luke because of the way he mows down the dark troopers in the hallway. Yeah. I mean, that's some Luke Skywalker action that we really needed to see. And so I'm so excited to be watching it in just a few minutes here.
Yes.
And so we might as well just jump into it.
Hey, before we do that, we should do a little bit of housekeeping because we've got some changes to our schedule. We got the 4th of July holiday here in the States next week, so there will be no regular Rebel Force radio show next week. However, we're not going to completely take the week off. We will have the Mandalorian after show. The Bad Batch after show next week. And we're also going to have the Bad Batch after show this week, but it will be on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Saturday this week.
Right.
So Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, Bad Batch after show looking at episode 10. And then next week, I believe
TBD,
we'll be back
TBD.
Oh, TBD. Oh,
yeah, it has to be TBD right now.
All right, that's fine.
I have things in flux.
You got things.
I got things and they're fluxing.
All right.
What the flux?
So make sure you are watching, keeping an eye on our social media channels at Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Costs you nothing. and you'll know when we're going live and all that stuff. So, well, let's do it. So this is what we do. We'd use the Disney Plus group watch feature, which is great. So if you're looking to share the Mandalorian or Bad Batch love with some friends or family that you're separated by miles, this is a great feature that's free if you're a subscriber to Disney Plus. Doesn't cost anything extra. And so you can watch in real time with each other. And that's what Jimmy Mack and I are doing now.
Right.
So we've got it queued up.
Right.
So what I did is I hit play and then I hit pause and then I used the scrubber and I pulled it back so we're at all zeros.
All zeros. That's what you want it to say. So when we hit that play button, we're all in the same area. So you're not in the menu or anything like that. We've actually hit play already in the menu, and now we've paused it out, zeroed out the counter. And you see we have 46 minutes and 12 seconds of Mandalorian goodness ahead of us. And we are going to have to sit through the credits to get to that end sequence, which I didn't do until the third time I watched this episode. It's an emotional roller coaster, this episode, too. And while we would love it if you watch along with us on Disney Plus, with us in your earbuds talking you through it, you can also listen to the show as just a standalone audio podcast. It's not 100% necessary that you watch the episode. We'll be describing a lot of the things we see and trying to keep our conversations as broad as possible, too, without saying things like, oh, look at this. Oh, isn't that great? Oh, wow. I think some people do commentaries like that. But I think it's important for us to maintain our standards as audio podcasters, and that will be prevalent throughout this entire commentary track. So I'm looking forward to this. Really haven't watched it since it dropped that initial week. I don't think since Christmas. I haven't seen it since Christmas.
Well, let's do a quick tale of the tape here, okay? So original air date was December 18th, 2020. And boy, did we ever need an episode like this in the throes of the whole pandemic and all of that? I mean, this really just was so exciting. It was just what we needed. It also happened to be the 5th anniversary of the release of Force Awakens. Also was released on December 18th back in 2015. Was written by Jon Favreau, this particular episode, and directed by Peyton Reed. And we'll roll it.
Let's roll the tape.
So Jim's going to count us down.
All right. Here we go on the count of 3 and then punch it. When I say punch it, everyone hit play at the same time and off to the races we go. So here we are. 3, 2, 1, punch it. And off we go.
You have something I want.
All right. We've got we're looking back at the previous episodes. Oh, there's the guy that Jimmy loves so much that wasn't that the Imperial officer you were such a big fan of?
No, that's
that was another. Oh, that was the other guy. That's right. That was the other guy.
Well, I mean, there's 2 of them I liked a lot from season 2. Titus Welliver, who played the ship commander in that episode with Bo-Katan, the heist, and then there was the great Richard Brake, who was featured in the penultimate episode featuring Bill Burr and the unhelmeting of Din Djarin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that Darksaber.
Flashbacks. I don't like him. Oh, sweet baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And be exposing him to that.
No. And this, that great moment when Din Djarin appears through hollow transmission and turns those words back on Moff Gideon. He means more to me than you'll ever know.
So Peyton Reed, he directed this episode. He's known for Ant-Man, Bring It On, Ant-Man and Wasp, all kind of things. He has a background in comedy, actually. He worked with the Upright Citizens Brigade back in the 90s. And he's...
hey, look, it's Boba Fett starship going off against. I had to.
Yeah, of course you do. No,
Right.
You know what? Say it loud, say it proud. This is the Slave One, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Slave One from
You're in
George
hot
Lucas's
pursuit.
original trilogy, Star Wars Slave One. And there it is, chasing down. Sure, Boba Fett's flying it. Who else would be? And this is
The
just
Imperial
great
Shuttle
footage.
is has always been one of my all-time favorite ship designs.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid. It's really it's actually one of the, I think it's the only vehicle I still own in the 3 3/4 inch scale is that Imperial Shuttle. That when I look at that new look of Boba Fett established by Mandalorian, spoiler alert, Jimmy Mack is hard at work working on a custom 3 3/4 inch version of that particular
Right.
look. Oh, what a scene. Look at this. What a shot. This is one of the things that I have loved about everything that has come out in the sort of, Disney era of Star Wars is giving these filmmakers and these creatives an opportunity to give us shots and scenes that we only dreamed of as kids. But that's
the shot of the
amazing
Slave
shot.
One rising up through the cockpit windows of the Imperial Shuttle. One of these actors is somebody here, somebody we've seen before.
One of those pilots.
There's a bit of trivia about one of these two, and I wish I could share it with you, but I don't know.
Luke Baines is one, and Thomas Sullivan is the other. So if those names mean anything to you, that's
what are their
we're looking
names?
at there. That's Thomas E. Sullivan and Luke Baines. And here's Pershing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Thomas Sullivan, he's from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was in, 9 episodes of that series as Nathan Malik. So big fans of that show would recognize him. And then he's popped up in some of the usual places like Chicago PD. I think every actor in Hollywood has come out to Chicago to shoot an episode for that series.
The other, sorry to interrupt, Jim, but the other thing that's been so great about this series is where it gives voice to this other point of view. You had the standoff between Cara Dune here just a moment ago and one of the pilots, and they were talking about the destruction of Alderaan and how it was a small price to pay to bring order to the galaxy, and he's also talking to Cara Dune about all the lives that were lost on the Death Star. And she goes, yeah, which one? So it's clearly the Empire was evil. There's no question, but it is interesting to get that perspective, that other perspective.
Yeah.
Here's
beautiful shot of the Slave One
landing.
Next to some other ships, we see a Mandalorian attack ship there, and a few other ships are hard to identify. I'm sure everyone is saying, "Oh, it's the Ghost." Don't they say that when you can only see just a little part of a ship? Everyone says, "Oh, it's the Ghost."
Yeah. Oh, always. It's always the Ghost. It is always the Ghost.
So here we are, CD Cantina. We've seen several CD Cantinas in The Mandalorian.
We have
seasons 1 and 2.
But only one is going to play host to Bo-Katan, and I'm sorry, I can never remember the other Mando's name. Sasha Banks' character, can never remember it. I got to look it up here.
Mercedes
Costco
Renardo?
Reeves. Yeah, Costco Reeves. I know where Sasha
Costco Reeves.
Yeah, Costco Reeves.
Yes. She's
awesome. Remember, they offered Mando the chance to go with them, and he turned him down.
Right.
There he is, asking him for help.
Right. I wonder how much these two really sort of look down on him as, this sort of zealot, faction of Mandalorians, the children of the Watch.
I think they think he's a Fodalorian.
A Fodalorian.
A Fakealorian, And the same with Boba.
Well, Boba, he doesn't. Oh, you mean how they feel about him?
Yeah, that they might feel about him. I mean, and that's, I think, what's really going to be explored in season 3 of Mandalorian. Is these two factions?
Yes, yeah, and the differences between Bo and Din as far as what they consider Mandalorian priorities. He keeps his helmet on all the time. They obviously are a little more evolved than that.
Right.
It seems very primitive to have some sort of belief system that requires you to wear a head covering, all the time, from when you were a kid. We see little kids with the Children of the Watch. I mean, literally children. And they're running around with the helmets on. You almost feel sorry for them. What kind of life is that for a kid? But that's just their way.
Little battle here between Costco Reeves and Boba Fett for their, Boba Fett is, he displays more in, 90 seconds of this series than he ever displayed in the original trilogy. So, the more I watch him in Mandalorian, the bigger fan I become. I confess, I was never a huge fan, of the character outside of just, he's a cool Star Wars character, but never been a part of the cult of Boba Fett. But this series is sort of convincing me.
I like how Costco Reeves uses her jetpack to aid her in that flip she does around Boba Fett. And it really displays how Mandalorian weaponry was specifically created to battle Jedi, to give regular people who aren't connected with the Force an edge when dealing with those who do have the connection. I really think that. I really think, it's a lot of Mandalorian armor is specifically designed to combat Jedi.
Wow. That's a cool idea. Hadn't thought of that. And again, a shot of the Slave One parked next to oh my God. The Imperial shuttle, just so cool. So cool. So he knows, he's tugging at Bo-Katan. He knows what Bo-Katan wants. She wants Gideon. And she reveals to him that she wants Gideon because he's got the dark saber, and so that's the hook to get her to help him. Who's going to be crazy enough to go after somebody high profile like Gideon? Bo-Katan. Oh, you got a little problem with his ear there. I think Cara Dune shot Pershing's ear there in that standoff. So it's a little charred.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't even notice that little detail. So they're showing they have dozens of Dark Troopers aboard this, the Moff Gideon's light cruiser. So, we saw them in a previous episode where they all lit up.
Right.
And Moff Gideon was standing there with them. So we know he's heavily armed and fortified in this light cruiser. So the mission they're going on is definitely dire. Yeah. And it's just so
of course,
cool. Go on.
The episode's called The Rescue, and so you assume that this is the rescue.
Yeah.
Whereas the rescue, you could argue, comes later.
Yes, absolutely. Right. This is the rescue plan. But the actual rescue is when Luke shows up and he saves them all. He's the one who does the actual rescuing.
Right.
Because, you say, wow, look how great this crew is. They all go on board the Star Destroyer and they take on everyone on board. But ultimately, as we'll see in this episode, they fail.
Yeah.
They fail.
Yeah.
So they are... They are going to be pummeled by the Dark Troopers unless Luke shows up.
Yes. This would have been a catastrophic loss. They would have lost Grogu. They would have lost their own lives. Little did they know. And you're right. I mean, my gosh, when you look at the skills of the five of them. I mean, it's the dream team, but they're not enough when it comes to those Death Troopers. It was cool to see, the Dark Troopers. It was cool to see them really live up to being sort of the ultimate weapon. I mean, they sure make battle droids look like
chumps.
Nothing.
I mean, the comic relief that they are. Did you ever play the game Dark Forces, the old PC game from 95?
You know, it was my very first computer was in 1995, the year I graduated high school, and I got a Hewlett-Packard, and the very first game I bought was Dark Forces 2.
Oh, 2.
And Dark Forces 2. I'm almost positive it was 2.
Yeah.
And I was so terrible at it. I didn't know. I still am not a good gamer. But
I defeated that game without any hints or clues or anything. It took me 9 months of Saturdays.
Wow.
9 months of Saturdays. And I finally beat it. When I beat it, I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, well, it's over. Now what? What?
Again, these points of view that you get, like of these TIE fighters launching out of the cruiser, again, just this. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's the stuff that we just dreamed about.
Yes.
And they give us this new view of this universe that we think we know so well.
I love how those TIE fighters launch out of that tube on the cruiser. It's very much a callback to the original Battlestar Galactica show. The Colonial Vipers would launch out of a very similar situation there, where they would go through these like launch tubes.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because Battlestar Galactica was guilty of ripping off Star Wars in so many ways. It's almost justice being served here for Star Wars to rip off Battlestar Galactica a little bit.
Well, in rip-offs, I mean, it is not a rip-off, but I mean, there's a little bit of homage here to Return of the Jedi, where you've got the crew using a Imperial shuttle to hide themselves, and so
right on. Slave One takes off, takes a jump to hyperspace.
Yeah, he's out of there.
You have to keep in mind Boba Fett's out there still.
Right.
And that weighed heavily on me throughout the rest of this episode. And I don't think he ever comes back. If I remember correctly. He does not come back. We have to wait till after the credits before we see him.
Oh, before we see right. Yeah, I keep thinking about that. Here we go. We're going to activate the Dark Troopers. And these are such a cooler design. I have the Dark Trooper action figure from the very short-lived expanded universe line around the Power of the Force 2 that came out. You had the Dark, the Luke from Dark Empire and the Clone Emperor and all that. And I always thought that looked more like a Superpowers figure from back in the day than it looked like a Star Wars figure. This look for the Dark Trooper is much, much better than that initial comic book design.
Well,
I think that gray design.
The video game design had 3 distinct phases of Dark Troopers. The Phase 1 Trooper, which was very skeletal-like and used a long blade was slash around at you. And then the Phase 2 Dark Trooper looked a little more bulked up, more human, but it was still completely a droid. And then the Phase 3 Dark Trooper is very similar to the one we see in this show. But the ones in this show they're taller and thinner, while the Phase 3 Dark Trooper in the video game was more buff. He was more hulkified. And but there are very distinct similarities in their designs. And big differences, too.
Well, and they're showing just how easy they're cutting through these stormtroopers. And remember, these are conscripted troopers. These aren't clones. These are conscripted troopers, and this group is cutting through them so easily, and it creates a really cool juxtaposition of what they're about to face. With these dark troopers or dark troopers.
Dark troopers, yes.
Yeah.
Death Troopers are from Rogue One.
Yes.
And Rebels.
And Rebels.
Yes. But, I mean, everything about this is just very Star Wars, just to the core. There's Fennec Shand doing her classic cartwheel somersault. She taught that to Omega in Bad Batch, that, be sure to roll when you drop.
Right.
We saw her dropping and rolling. But there's just a coolness factor
Ming-Na Wen, just amazing at 50 in her late 50s, I think. Just incredible the work that she does in this series. She's becoming a favorite of mine very quickly.
Oh yeah,
between Bad Batch and Mandalorian. Oh, here they come. Yeah, this is you talk about Battlestar Galactica. This is giving me some Cylon vibes. There's no question about that. Mm-hmm. And there's a classic Kenner action figure right there, played by Chris Bartlett, our pal.
Death Star droid.
Yeah, man. RA7
droid always means a lot to me to see a Death Star droid walk by. It's kind of a nice feeling.
I don't think we've seen one since A New Hope, right?
Oh no,
in the Jawa Sandcrawler.
Definitely, we saw them in Rogue One.
Oh, there was,
and also in Solo.
In Solo as well.
Yeah, there's one at a checkpoint that at the beginning during the speeder chase through Corellia, they mow through the checkpoint, and there's a Death Star droid there manning the post, and they just roll over him.
The tension builds so well as you see those dark troopers start to come alive and
he shut the door right as the door is opening.
Oh.
Right as the door is opening, Mando just happens to be walking by, and he almost tiptoes over to the control panel to try to close the door. If he would have just gotten there a half second sooner.
That armor's too strong for blasters.
It is too strong for blasters. Really great effects here. I don't think there's anything practical about these guys. I think it's entirely CGI. And the robotic movements of as they try to punch their way through the window, and they're just pounding this guy. The Beskar saves his life,
right,
from the punches. But that would still have to hurt, And
now he's lighting him on fire, and he's like, just gives him a look. Yeah, right.
What is their
the first
Achilles
one that thought
heel?
of this? Yeah, what is their Achilles heel?
Yeah, other than a lightsaber,
a green one
can stop these guys.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out here shortly. But yeah, I mean, this is just, and you see the struggle that he's having with just one, and to think that there's a whole battalion of them behind that door. All right, I think we found one here. The neck. Very Terminator, too. Very Terminator vibes.
Yeah, so that is their Achilles heel. It's right under their neck.
Yeah.
You can access with a...
Or send them out the...
and then, so that's his end game there. That's why he wanted to close the door, because it's like, well, they'll punch their way through the door. There just happens to be an airlock there. Because you do deploy those things through an airlock. And they all come back anyway. It's just
didn't we see that occasionally in the Aliens movies? Wasn't Ripley always getting those aliens out of with the airlock? I feel like I've seen that a few times.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a classic in the fourth Alien movie. There's a classic one where they break this little tiny window, and an alien gets sucked out into space through the little. It's a little window. Ooh. And so the thing just like bends up and gets pulled through the window.
Ouch.
It's really awful. It's like sucking up a big earthworm with a vacuum cleaner.
Did you see that Imperial officer a second ago get right in the head? That was pretty brutal. There is some brutal stuff here. I mean, even the Mando just choking out that stormtrooper. I mean, there's
Moff Gideon.
Look at him just waiting.
Evil as evil can be.
Where'd they get binders that small? Where'd they get binders that small?
Well, there's all sort of different alien species throughout the galaxy, and
true. Yeah.
I mean, Baby Yoda, for as small as he is, he could be considered a giant by some species in the galaxy.
Right.
So the Empire is prepared. They like to oppress everyone.
Look at Meeber Gascon. What kind of binders would you have for him?
Right. Perfect example. So,
boy, the Darksaber. Every time I go into a Target, that's all I see.
I've never
the only
seen
thing
one.
I see is the Darksaber toy from Hasbro.
I've never seen one. But there he is, Moff Gideon. He's just waving it over Baby Yoda's head. I wonder if there's any warmth that comes off of that. Like if it singes his little hair a little bit, you can kind of smell it in a room. It's like, It's kind of stinky.
You know, Gideon shows off a little bit of that Thrawn vibe. That the tactician, the chess master.
Right.
Oh, by now this has already happened, and that's already happened. I'm 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of you. I'm not complaining. It's just that's sort of the role he's in. So it'll be interesting to see if those two worlds collide, if we get a Grand Admiral Thrawn showing up in Mandalorian, which is
everything is happening as I have foreseen.
Right.
So there's a history there. And that's an archetype.
Sure.
It's great to be filled through characters like Thrawn, through characters like Moff Gideon. The Emperor isn't around anymore. But give us some of that vibe that he used to throw out there. I like that. I like trash talking during saber duels too. That's just who I am. I like my bad guys to be thinking 5 steps ahead of everyone else, and I like trash talking during lightsaber duels. What do you want from me?
There's another comparison I want to make here with Gideon, and it's this scene that brings to mind is a little bit with Dooku. You know, Dooku does tell Obi-Wan Kenobi the truth in episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Here you got Gideon talking the truth. I just wanted his blood. This child is very special. It's given me those Dooku vibes where he's kind of telling Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, 90% of what's true, but he's holding back on 10%.
Yeah, this little sequence here where he's just trying to get the Mando off guard, I think.
Right.
I think he was just BSing him from the...
Oh, no, I think
yeah.
the stuff about the blood and him being special, I think...
Yeah, he does reveal... He does reveal some absolute info, but the idea of him making a deal where, hey...
right.
You take the kid and you go your way and I'll go mine. That's not... there's no basis in reality for that. Yeah,
I think we knew when he was able to get that Beskar pole or whatever that is, that staff, or I don't know what you would call it, that it was inevitable that this was what the spike he was going to be using up against the Darksaber. I love the way that it heats it up. Do you notice how it gets all red or orange? And
it's so important that we have the sequence in Chapter 13 where the magistrate is fighting Ahsoka with this Beskar spear, because now we know that it can handle a lightsaber. Now we know it can handle a Darksaber.
Right.
We're not just like, well, what's this? How could this be? I know George Lucas was resistant to the idea of a Darksaber. Or no, he was resistant to the idea of having metals that could, like a pike, that could deflect lightsabers. That's why the Darksaber was created. Yeah. Was because George wanted a unique weapon that could stand up against a lightsaber, but wasn't just some random whatever. He did have those guards of Grievous use those blades, those spears too, but they had like a force field around them. So I think that's just technology that was designed to fight with lightsabers. Now this whole Darksaber belongs to you.
I have a problem with this. I have a problem with this.
I do too.
I hate to be a canon cop, but my God, I mean, we're talking about the same guy. This is Filoni, who was the architect of the story about Sabine Wren surrendering the saber to Bo-Katan. And now she's going to be a purist about it? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Hugely inconsistent.
Yep.
Hugely inconsistent. Because, yes, Sabine just gave it to her. You're the rightful heir.
Yeah.
And she's just like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Give it up.
Right.
But now, in a situation where really the Mandalorian never had absolute possession of it. I mean, he basically just took it away from that guy. Sure, he earned it, but he doesn't want it. He doesn't believe in their cause. Maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe it's because he is a vastly different Mandalorian. She can't accept it.
Right.
Sabine comes from House Wren. and Bo-Katan comes from.
I think Filoni owes us an explanation. I really do.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that can explain. I think he owes us an explanation.
And I think we'll get that explanation in season 3 of The Mandalorian. You know, the story is still being told.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So
there's
got to
be a reason.
To tell it. And here come the Dark Troopers.
Oh,
you didn't think you were going to get away with that, did you? I mean, just open the door and your problems are over. No. This isn't like.
Let's see how you do against a platoon. You had your hands full with one.
Really? Yeah, but if he could just get that Beskar spear up underneath their chins, he's all set.
Right.
And he is holding a Darksaber now, too.
That's true. And they got Boba out there and somewhere in hyperspace.
Yeah. I mean, that was weighing on my mind the whole time watching this episode, that Boba Fett's going to fly in at any given minute and save the day.
Pew, pew, pew.
But that's not the case.
Bittersweet seeing Gina Carano in what's likely her final performance is
Cara Cynthia.
Yeah, Cara Cynthia Dune. Yeah.
Cara Cynthia. Yeah, she done.
Boy,
she gone.
Boy,
Cara Dunn is
Cara Dunn. Yeah, they just build the how ominous this is. It's almost like, I mean, you look at this, you're like, this is a hopeless situation. It is a hopeless situation.
Totally hopeless.
And they know that. The characters know that. I mean, and Baby Yoda, you know, that look that Grogu gives when Mando puts him down, says, I'm going to get you out of here. He kind of looks down like, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, we're done. Even the kid knows.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like the Alamo. This is Custer's Last Stand. I mean, this is the makings of a disaster, tragedy. I mean, they might be able to hold off against a couple of these, but not a whole platoon.
It's going to be the shootout at the OK Corral.
Right.
And nobody's going to win. Nobody. So they just use brute force to try to punch their way through.
This is like Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
It's just like Rock'em Sock'em. It is 1,000% Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Too bad their head doesn't pop up with that sound, you know? Remember that sound?
I do.
My dad nuts with it. He's like, they're going to play that stupid game again. We're yelling and screaming. And any game of Rock'em Sock'em Robots in my house when I was a kid always ended up in a real fight, you know?
Yeah.
Two brothers. Toe to toe. All right, enough of that. I'm annoying myself now. But do we see the Mandalorian ignite? No, I mean, like, nobody's standing there with the Darksaber ignited.
No.
I would have that thing out to greet these guys, but they just want to take them out with firepower.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting. Like, he's got this great weapon, although given the look that Cara Dune, Bo-Katan gave him when he was holding it, he probably doesn't want to pull it out again.
So when the X-Wing flies into frame, when that flies into the frame and it pulls in like that, I was really pressing my face up against the screen for the first time. And then you see kind of, you know, Baby Yoda sort of does a little bit of that too. He gets up to the screen and holds his hand up to it as if he's feeling the force through the image.
Well, I thought it was going to be one of those two pilots that we've seen in the series, you know, Blue or
Carson
whatever the other guy. Yeah, the Dave Filoni guy. Yeah,
that would just be such a bummer if it was just like, all right, I'm here. You know,
pew pew.
Yeah, the situation is so severe and dire that only Luke Skywalker could show up.
And there's the cloak.
So you see the cloak, you see him walking in. I'm thinking, well, it can't be Ahsoka. She doesn't fly an X-Wing.
Right.
And then right there, when they show the first image of Luke wielding the saber and it's a staticky video image, I think immediately
And now with the green saber, I remember I was on the couch going, no.
Yes.
Like, it's not happening in a good way. Like, it's too good to be true.
The green saber, the black glove.
Yes. What other clues do we need?
No other clues. Clues.
It's cool, too, to see him using a one-handed combat, a little bit like Vader does in the original trilogy.
Well, he holds it. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, right there. He just did a sort of a Vader tennis swing strike at the guy's head.
To free up that other hand to do, force moves with it.
George Lucas was always very specific about lightsabers, that you had to hold them with two hands, like the Excalibur, like there was a sense of weight to the lightsaber. But we've seen so many different Jedi, so many different varying styles of saber combat over the years now. There's no absolute rules.
Right.
And this
he's cutting
also
through these like battle droids. I mean, like father, like son, seeing him. But the Moff Gideon moment that we just saw, where he was going to take out Baby Yoda. He saw what was happening. He wanted to, do away with the child. The child cannot be united with, whatever this thing is. And Gideon knows exactly I'm convinced he knows exactly who's on that ship.
Yeah.
And then he's going to take himself out. If I can't take care. So what's he afraid of? He's afraid of the repercussions of Baby Yoda falling into the hands of Luke Skywalker. He was ready to kill himself rather than face the potential aftermath of that. So that, to me, is a link to Palpatine. But perhaps
it's been made pretty clear that if an Imperial feels like he's going to be taken into custody, in order to preserve the secrets of the Empire, you have to take one for the team. And we saw that happen with the Titus Welliver Imperial officer earlier this season when he bit down on the electronic cyanide tooth that killed him. And he did that so he wouldn't be tortured and have to reveal, or drugged and have to reveal the secrets. He died for the cause.
Right.
So
this
comes
is when
Luke.
Baby Yoda, he knows, is he's touching the view screen and then looking back at Mandalorian like
this is the guy from The Rock.
Yeah. This is the guy I was talking to on that rock. Remember when you thought I was just sleeping? No.
Yeah.
I was talking to this guy.
Yeah. Knocked me out cold, all the info I took in on that rock, pal. Let me tell you.
Open the door.
And then here comes Luke Skywalker emerging from the fog with his green saber. I saw a video somebody put the Force theme to these moments with Luke in the corridor. And I refuse to watch it because I don't want that to get into my head canon. I don't want to be disappointed seeing this ever. And there's Luke, and that is Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi. And it's brilliant.
It is.
I think it's a brilliant effect. And, I don't care if some yahoos with some really good computer software and a lot of time on their hands can do it at home better. I don't know. I don't know if I've really seen it better than this. Come, little one.
Yeah.
So he's he doesn't say much Luke thing, many Luke things here, though. I wish he did,
right.
He just is kind of aloof. He is aloof. But
talent without training is nothing.
And he says, I will give my life to protect the child. And that means until Baby Yoda can protect himself.
Right.
It's going to take a while for him to go through training. So he and Luke will be together for a while. Could this be Luke's first Padawan?
Mm-hmm. And should we assume that Grogu is at the Jedi training facility that is wiped out by Kylo Ren's betrayal?
No, I don't know.
We don't know. That's just the thing. We don't know. Oh, this is so.
I would think I would think he would have been trained by that point in time.
Yeah, but they grow so slowly.
Well, we don't know anything about how they grow. Maybe it takes, they're babies for like the first 50 years of their existence, and then they go through a mad growth spurt. Maybe these little buggers form cocoons around themselves, and
this is just my Cleveland. This is just my Cleveland coming through, but he looks like Bernie Kosar, former Cleveland Browns quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
Pedro Pascal.
He does a little bit, yeah. I guess you put the orange helmet on him and the face
there
mask.
You go.
We'll see. But he knows what he has to do. He has to give up little baby Yoda. And we're all just so sad now.
And Pascal is talked about how we covered it on Rebel Force Radio recently in an interview what he did with Ewan McGregor, just how important it was for him to have a physical manifestation of baby Yoda to do this scene.
Yeah.
He's glad it wasn't just ones and zeros.
And also what helped him bring his A game was just the knowledge that baby Yoda is so popular. Now here's R2. And R2 looks, now see, like, he looks weird. What are those little, he has these 4 black nubs and now they're gone. They were on top of his legs, like on his shoulders, let's just say. Okay. On his shoulders. There are these nubs. They were just there and now they're gone. And then we'll see them again. They'll reappear. And I don't know what those things are supposed to represent. There they are. There's
there they
nubs on the shoulders.
Okay.
If R2 had shoulders,
Right. R2 has shoulders. He's got 2 of them right there. I see him.
So what's up with those? I've never seen anything like that.
Wow.
Maybe
it's a detail.
Yeah. Very odd. So that leads me to believe this R2 is CG and was not on the set.
You think? Because of the nubs?
I think because of the nubs, and also because there seems to be shifts in the perspective of how big this R2 is, at least as I look at it. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, R2 builders, they'll let me know if I'm right or wrong.
So this is the hit Baby Yoda's last view of the Mandalorian and his group. This is a huge moment. I mean, this could be the end of this arc as far as this series is concerned. I mean, we assume we're going to see Baby Yoda again. We in this series or in subsequent series or future stories, but we don't know for sure. Maybe Baby Yoda was just the best hope to sort of put over these new characters in this new series. This could be it for Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian.
I find that unlikely. Because of the popularity of the character, and it's an open-ended story right now.
Now, a lot of people
we want to see him trained after all of this. We want to.
Well, sure, but do you really think they're going to go there in terms of seeing the training? I mean, are they going to be that? Are they going to?
No, maybe not, but maybe just like the aftermath. Luke could appear with Grogu somewhere else.
Yes.
And we could see an advancement both in maturity and force powers. So we're at the credits right now.
Yep.
And usually it shrinks up into a smaller box on the screen. On Disney Plus.
Oh, right. Yeah, where they're plugging,
Now
hey,
look
if you
here.
like this.
Now look here, we'll see the additional cast members, or did they already show the?
Yeah, we already missed them. Who do you want to know?
Well, it said Matthew Wood.
Right.
Fortuna.
That's right.
And so immediately upon seeing that, I started the whole thing over again. And I said, how did I miss Matt Wood? And also, I was rather hysterical when all of this was. It was like 3 a.m. I might have had a cocktail or two. And I made it through the whole episode. And then I walked away and I kept saying to myself over and over again, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I just couldn't stop saying it. Here it is. Here's the cast. Guest starring Matthew Wood. And I was like,
there
what
it
the
is,
hell?
Bib Fortuna. Yeah.
What the hell? So
double for Bib Fortuna. I mean, he even had a double. So he had so much going on that they had to get a double in for him. Well, how did I miss that?
So, and
maybe it's true what they say. When you have Luke Skywalker in the scene, you don't watch anything else. They had all kinds of stuff in the background. You were just watching Luke.
So I'm walking around the house at 2:45 in the morning going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I walked outside and it's like, I don't even remember doing this. It was cold out. And, but like not like freezing cold, but it was cold. And I remember just standing on my porch, like I needed to get some air. And I put my hand over my eyes and I'm like, oh my God, I'm crying. I am crying. I'm like just so overwhelmed by this entire episode. Here's the twin sons of Tatooine. And I was just so overwhelmed by this episode between Grogu and Luke. The gratitude I felt toward Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau for bringing us Luke.
Yeah.
They say it's, down to the crack how exact this set replica was. They built it based off of the blueprints for the original. Bib Fortuna, he drops a McClunky in here. And he's holding the staff that his original action figure from Kenner was released with, but never seen with on screen until now.
And he put on a few pounds, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he just sits on the throne all day and orders people around.
Right.
Look, that like even the
look at the Rancor heads there on opposite sides of the. This is by the way, this is so Boosh. This entrance by Fennec Shan feels very Boosh.
It's very Boosh. Very Boosh. And
now
nice
Bib Fortuna's gained weight, and the Gamorrean guards have lost weight.
Yeah, they're much more trim. Look, they still have the wind chimes up there with Leia bumped her head on.
Oh yeah.
And big
down to the Twi'lek dancing girl.
Yeah,
gonna save her.
So Boba's back. Now we know where he was flying to.
Mm-hmm.
He told Fennec, when you're through with this, meet me on Tatooine. But I mean, that is an exact set.
Yeah.
And he just cold-blooded shoots Bib on the throne right there at point-blank range. A listener told me he had met Matthew Wood at a convention last week, and he had asked Matt about the Book of Boba. And whether or not he was going to be in it. And Matt said, I really can't say. Yeah. But then Matt went on to talk about what a hoot Tim Morrison is on the set. And how whenever Robert Rodriguez would say cut, Tim would grab an acoustic guitar and he'd start singing songs and people would join in. Sometimes Rodriguez would jump in with his guitar. And so he told that story. And we saw glimpses of it in the Mandalorian Disney Gallery show. So Matt could be basing his information on that, or Matt was actually on the set of The Mandalorian. And Tim had said that it's going to feature flashbacks. So I'm beginning to think Matthew Wood is going to be in the Book of Boba as well.
And that's, there it is, the Book of Boba Fett. December 2021.
Yep, coming soon to a Disney Plus near you.
You better believe it that we will have a Book of Boba Fett after show.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
We're going to have it, baby. Well, I mean, this is, to say that this is a huge moment. This episode was a huge moment in the history of Star Wars storytelling is an understatement. It came on the heels of after a very divisive period with the sequel films, particularly, surrounding Luke Skywalker and his legacy. Honestly, this kind of made me forget about all of that. And I became, not that I was ever not a fan, but I was just able to lose myself in my fandom because of it being so close to what I originally fell in love with.
For so many years, we've heard people, critics of critics, saying, well, you don't connect with Star Wars because you can't be 12 years old anymore. Or you don't connect with Star Wars because it's just not being made for you anymore. Right. Things like that. But I'll tell you what, Mandalorian both seasons, and especially the season 2 season finale, debunk that 1,000%. You can be 12 years old watching Star Wars again with honesty, you know? Sometimes the 12-year-old inside of me looks the other way when Star Wars does things that are, in my opinion, subpar.
Yeah.
I'll try to look the other way and just try to focus on the positive. But The Mandalorian didn't require any heavy lifting from me as a Star Wars fan.
No.
It hit me in all the right feels.
Yep.
And it definitely made me feel like I was 12 years old again and watching Star Wars for the very first time, you know?
Yep.
So,
well, and you heard so many stories about how this series impacted families and became appointment watching again, you know, for families, which isn't the case for a lot of television. It's so disposable, dispensable, here 1 minute, gone the next. It doesn't, it's not an event. Mandalorian episodes, episode by episode, were events. And again, appointment watching. Get the family around the TV.
And it's absolutely timeless in the true tradition of George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy. And that's the other thing that often gets brought up. Well, just Star Wars has evolved beyond you. It's you're no longer relevant as far as Star Wars is concerned. But I mean, Star Wars was never part of the present, you know, despite the fact that it was so groundbreaking as far as special effects goes and things of that nature. It was always based in this timeless sense of the classics. And that's what George Lucas tapped into. The things that he liked. And he just wanted to see more of it. I love when creators just simply make the things they want to see. That's their only measurement for the quality. Is it's like, is this what I want to see? This is what I want to see. Yes.
Some of the best artists and storytellers, musicians, you name it, are those that are trying to make the product or the art or whatever that they would want.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to guess what the customer might want, they make what they would want. And then of course the audience finds it. And that's what I definitely think that's what's going on here. We knew that I don't know that we ever heard Dave Filoni explicitly say that, but what you can glean from his interviews that we've done with him over the years is that he was in essence making a Star Wars that he himself would want to watch and would enjoy. It just so happens that he was learning at the feet of the master, which, you know, was when you put that combination together, it was unstoppable.
Right. And also Dave, working directly with George Lucas, instilled the responsibility of maintaining George's integrity throughout his productions.
Yes.
So, and we're going to see Star Wars that goes, you know, far away from George Lucas's original vision for it. But I hope we always have some Star Wars around us that really connects with all of the essential makeup of what made Star Wars so special to begin with. And The Mandalorian, to me, it does it 1,000%.
It sure does. It sure does. All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this final entry in our season 2 commentary series for The Mandalorian. We were looking at chapter 16, The Rescue. And Jim, do you care to speculate on season 3 at this point? What do you think we're going to, where do they go from here, essentially?
Well, the real big open-ending thing that goes on here with this season finale is who's in ownership of the Darksaber.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's going to cause friction in season 3 between the Mandalorian and Bo-Katan. I would like to see a reunion of the Mandalorian with the Armorer, so he could try to get some answers out of her.
Yes.
And I would like to see. Oh, I would like a Baby Yoda update. I would just love to get a Baby Yoda update somehow, some way. Have him return with Luke. Have Luke return.
I don't see that happening in season 3. I do think we're going to see it in The Mandalorian, but I think that they're going to want to build that anticipation. And they may do that by sending us off on this whole, liberation of Mandalore. I think that's going to be a big part of season 3, is we're actually going to go to Mandalore and perhaps see it united under the proper.
I don't know how inhabitable that planet is at this point.
Well, that's the rumor, right? Isn't that? Don't we think that could be a that could be something to throw people off track, to keep people from going to Mandalore?
This Night of 1,000 Tears that Moff Gideon references.
Mm-hmm.
I would like more information on that, because I think that has something to do with a Mandalorian genocide committed by the Empire. And I think Moff Gideon was the one pulling all the control levers for it.
Yeah.
So,
right.
That's why Mandalorians might be rare at this point in the Star Wars timeline. I'm assuming they are.
Going to make a prediction. I think we're going to see perhaps some flashbacks in season 3. I think we're going to see a Sabine Wren in season 3.
That's always rumored.
And might we see a live action version of that face-off between Darth Maul and Sabine Wren and the handoff of the Darksaber? I don't know if I feel that it's so tantamount to this story that they're telling that they might not just rely on people having seen Rebels. Could we see it told through a flashback?
Do you mean Moff Gideon and Sabine? You said Darth Maul.
I mean Darth Maul. I mean, could they, in order to tell the tale of the Darksaber and try to find a way to sort of retcon or connect the giving up of the Darksaber in one and not in the other? That's what I'm saying. Are they need to retcon this. We need an explanation as to why Sabine was able to give this up to Bo-Katan, but the Mandalorian wasn't able to give it up to Bo-Katan. She accepted it from one, didn't accept it on the other. Do they need to sort of replay that? Do we get an instant replay in live action?
Yeah, that's confusing to me too. And I think it has to do something with the type of Mandalorian that Sabine is and the type of Mandalorian that Din is. And whatever weird oath that these yahoos take. Helmet on, helmet off. I can't keep up with these guys. So I think we'll get, definitely some more clarification about that in season 3. We learned more in season 2. I think we'll learn even more in season 3 about Din's specific Mandalorian culture and his connection to the warriors,
Outside of the original trilogy, Darth Maul has found his way in every major Star Wars series. He showed up in the Disney era films. He showed up in Rebels. He showed up in Clone Wars. Why not show up in Mandalorian? Why not? I mean,
because I think Obi-Wan Kenobi killed him.
No. I'm talking about through flashback. I think I'm talking through flashback.
All right, well, then it's possible. Yeah. Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible with flashback.
Right.
And I'm not against it. A lot of people are against flashbacks in Star Wars. I don't think it's such a bad thing. Sure, George didn't do it, but Star Wars jumps all over the place in the timelines. I mean, basically the prequels themselves were nothing but a flashback. So
I was just going to say that. No, he made a whole trilogy that was a flashback.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But the original trilogy was always about driving forward. Yeah. He was faster, more intense through
For
that.
sure.
All right. Thanks for hanging with us. Hope you enjoyed this. I had a blast going through all the episodes of The Mandalorian. We've got Mandalorian after shows available on our website at rebelforceradio.com. Also, as part of there's a whole playlist at YouTube if you want to just go and get our fresh takes with some guests and some listener call-ins. You can check those out, just like we're doing right now currently with the Bad Batch and those after shows. So join us this weekend, Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Bad Batch after show coming at you. Be part of the conversation. Give us a call. Make sure you're keeping up and watching the episodes. And then we will be back in 2 weeks with another Rebel Force Radio weekly show. But until then, we'll see you next time. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
The Force will be with you, always.